Hi guys, so today I'm going to talk about narcissists and the silent treatment. This is one of their weapons in their arsenal. And so when will a narcissist use the silent treatment? Well, they will use it to control you. And if they feel that they are losing control, then they will definitely give you the silent treatment to punish and to maintain their dominance. Now, if somebody who struggles with complex PTSD from childhood trauma, or you tend to be codependent, again, a reaction to childhood trauma, if you have attachment wounding and abandonment wounds, then this form of abuse, the silent treatment and stonewalling, is definitely going to trigger those wounds. It's going to make you feel being ignored, will make you feel abandoned, rejected, neglected, like you don't matter, right? This is very deliberate. This is the narcissist absolutely knows that, one, that you have this wounding, and two, that this will hurt you in this very specific way, and it will allow them to get their power back. All humans struggle with some form of rejection or another, with abandonment, wounding. We all have some. In fact, if you look at the anthropological sort of record, that it's some scientists or theorists will speculate that we have a fear of abandonment because it's biologically based. It's in us because abandonment, when we were, sort of cavemen, if we were ostracized from our tribe or from our society or from our community, then that actually did mean death. So we all have some form of abandonment wounding or some form of a fear of abandonment, but children that grow up in dysfunctional homes with abuse or trauma tend to have more, right? We have that complex PTSD. So, and that's kind of the idea, is when you were young, the bonding was corrupted, and it was corrupted because of, it could have been unpredictable homes, or, sort of poverty. It could have been violence or addiction or anything like that, or mental illness. And so people that tend to be codependent or who have complex PTSD, they tend to, have a greater sensitivity to the abandonment, the feelings of abandonment. And so if you're walking around with this unresolved abandonment wound that you haven't even addressed, you may not even know that you have it. It's like you're sending a signal to narcissists and sociopaths. It's almost like they can sense it, right? So they see that hole in you. They see it, and because they love to exploit people that are traumatized, they are going to exploit that hole in your self-esteem, in yourself, right? So they see the abandonment trauma and they love it because they know it's a hook that they're going to get into you, and they're going to use it to punish and control you. So think about even Ted Bundy, like he used this, the sling that he had and this broken leg to prey upon certain women and their empathy and their sort of codependence. Or I'm not saying everyone that he was with was codependent, everyone he hurt, but like they want to help, they want to be liked, they want to, help. And so he really played upon people that had a high level of empathy and are helpers, which tend to be codependents, or codependents tend to have those characteristics. So if you have abandonment trauma and it is unresolved and you have not done the work around it to resolve it, if you've not done the work around your codependence, you are going to be a mark by a narcissist or a sociopath. They are going to, basically, you're the prey, they're the predator. And they are going to use it when they want to punish you, when you're trying to, when they're losing control. And they may be feeling like they're losing control because you're having the audacity to set a boundary. You are advocating for your needs. You're no longer accepting crumbs. You're no longer accepting, 6 months with no emotional or no physical intimacy. You are trying to get your name on joint assets that you've been paying for 10 years. You are trying to advocate for equality and egalitarianism. And they say, absolutely not. I am superior, you are inferior, and how dare you ask for equality? That's not going to work. So when you start to do that, or if you're a codependent and you start going to CODA or Al-Anon, you start getting some help for your codependents and you start getting healthier, you got to remember that really when it's a codependent and a narcissist, like they're both dysfunctional. They're both sort of dysfunctional people that are meeting each other with their wounding, right? And so, when you start healing, that can be very, very threatening to the narcissist. And so they are going to use the silent treatment to try to regain control. So they're going to give you the silent treatment. And again, this is a form of dominance and control. It's meant to hurt you. It's meant to make you afraid that if you open your mouth or you stand up for yourself or you advocate for equal rights, then this person might leave you. And it's meant to make you feel bad, neglected, rejected, like you don't matter. It's there to make you feel disposable, that like you deserve to be discarded, like you're less than. It's there to punish you, right? Make no mistake. This, my loves, is abuse. This is abuse. The silent treatment and stonewalling, when used in this way, in this manipulative fashion by narcissists, is toxic. It's abuse. And you might get to a point where you're no longer settling for crumbs, and they're not going to deal with that. You're supposed to be happy with your crumbs, don't you know? If you just get to be around them and breathe the same airspace, you're so lucky, right? Because they're just so superior. And so they are going to use this. When a narcissist gives you the silent treatment, they're doing it deliberately. They're doing it to trigger your abandonment wound. When this happens, what's going to happen if you have complex PTSD or you are a codependent, you might feel like it's your fault, right? When they stonewall you, and you might feel like you did something wrong, like you're a bad girl or you're a bad boy, right? And when they give you the silent treatment, again, this is not what grown-ups do. This is not healthy adult communication. The silent treatment is not what grown-ups do. It's not what big people do. It's what babies do. It's what toddlers do. Adults that are healthy work through their issues by communicating. That's what adults do. They don't stonewall and give the silent treatment, right? It is manipulation, and it's incredibly immature. Again, not what adults do, but it is what narcissists do. So sort of to consider again, when you're a codependent and you're attracting a narcissist, you're both people that are toxic, right? You both have these dysfunctional patterns in relationships. You're both very shame-based. And with a codependent, it's like they really want to be liked, right? They want to be loved. They want to be liked. With a narcissist, they're not really that concerned about being liked. They're more concerned about being worshipped, adored, obeyed, and feared, right? They want to be revered. Narcissists are more, that's why when you see it, they're more worried about what strangers think of them than they are about their family and their friends. And that's, awful, but that's how they are. And they want, ultimately, a narcissist wants dominance and control. They're all about control. So when you're dealing with the silent treatment or stonewalling, it's important to realize that the silent treatment is not what adults do. So step back from yourself. When they do that, recognize that is not what adults do. It's not what healthy people do. It's not a healthy form of communication or resolving issues in any way. And again, if you're the codependent, you probably struggle with that abandonment trauma. You're constantly feeling like you're not good enough. You're not probably very good at setting boundaries, and you probably settle for crumbs. And, but again, once you start getting healthy, once the codependent maybe starts getting healthy by doing some work, I know I did this because I started going to Al-Anon, I started going to CODA, I started advocating for my rights, that I deserved equality, that I deserved to be treated with respect instead of, not getting my name on title of a, joint property that I've been paying for years and years and years for, thinking, that I deserve to have physical intimacy in a marriage, advocating for that. I started not accepting the crumbs that I was receiving. And if you do that, again, narcissists, they may stop talking to you. They may stop, just give you the silent treatment, ignore you. They may stop talking to your children or the children or stepchildren. They just zone you out, right? And it's their way of, they're trying to manipulate and make you feel less than and minimize, and what you say, disregard what you say as if what you say just doesn't matter. They stop listening, they ignore you. This is a very toxic thing to do. It is not healthy at all. It is not what healthy people do. But again, when you're codependent, you might be sort of blind to this, and you may think it's sort of normal, especially if you're not being like yelled at or like verbally abused. They're just like ignoring you for 5 weeks or whatever. But when you start to wake up and you start to do some work around your codependence, and you start believing the truth, which is that you deserve to be treated with equality, love, respect, egalitarianism, then you might realize that what you have allowed in your life. You might start seeing what you have tolerated. And this is going to be very painful. It might be a very, very painful awakening for you. And when you look back, you may realize that you are attracting very selfish people. Quite often you might have been attracting active addicts or narcissists or sociopaths, right? And then when you start doing this work, you might actually begin to realize the truth, which is that you deserve better. You deserve to be treated with equality, love, respect, decency. You do not deserve to be gaslighted, manipulated, stonewalling, passive aggressive, silent treatment, control of finances, control of information. You don't deserve to be cheated on, lied to, and stolen from, right? You deserve much better than that. And once you start realizing that, and if you're in a relationship, an active one with a narcissist, the narcissist is going to start getting real afraid because they know that they're losing control of you. They are losing their dominance. They are losing that ability to manipulate you. And that's when they're really going to kick into high gear with their silent treatment and their stonewalling, right? So, really important, if you are a codependent or if you have complex PTSD and you are with somebody who is giving you the silent treatment, whether that's your intimate partner or somebody at work or a friend, and they start ignoring you, stonewalling you, or giving you the silent treatment, I think it's really, really important that you do not take responsibility for that. You are not responsible for somebody giving you the silent treatment. That is not what adults do. That is what babies do. That's what toddlers do. That is not a healthy adult form of communication, and you are not responsible. It's very, very maladaptive. And once you start treating your codependence, you're no longer going to accept the idea that everything is your fault. So step back, realize this is not what adults do. This is not a healthy form of communication. I absolutely refuse to accept responsibility for somebody giving me the silent treatment and stonewalling. That's a very maladaptive form of communication, and I will not accept responsibility for that. It is not my fault. I am here and ready to communicate like a normal adult human being. I'm willing to go to therapy. I'm willing to communicate very honestly, with authenticity. I'm willing to resolve conflict, not avoid it, and I'm willing to work through problems. So if you're codependent and you start advocating for yourself, or you have complex PTSD and you start advocating for yourself, then this narcissist is really going to try to, like I said, step it into high gear with their stonewalling and silent treatment and gaslighting and manipulation. But I really encourage you to recognize that and just know that, if that's how somebody's treating you, you deserve better, and you do not need to tolerate this form of abuse. So if somebody's giving the silent treatment or stonewalling, you do not need to tolerate it. It is not your fault. You do not need to take responsibility for it, and you deserve better. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.